welcome to Talk is Jericho. It's the pot of thunder and rock and roll and the home of the Duff McKagan joke of the week.
Chris Jericho, Duff McKagan calling you from Atlanta, Georgia. Hope you're doing well, my friend, and everybody out there. Listen, I grilled a chicken for 2 hours. He still wouldn't tell me why he crossed the road. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
That's a good one. I actually like that one. Thank you, Duff. Calling all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, home of Fozzy. Touring currently with Guns N' Roses, as always, and still delivering the jokes every Friday. We love you, Duff. And Fozzy is going back on the road again soon. Spotlight in North America starts October 19th in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're coming to Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska. Before we wrap up this leg, November 6th in Memphis, go to FozzyRock.com to see all the dates and all ticket information. And, of course, we're doing our famous VIP meet and greet. It's the best of the business. We meet you. We take pictures with you. We play a private set for you. We even let you sing. Don't forget as well, October 8th, we're going to be at the Last Drive in Joe Bob's Jamboree. Once again, coming to rock with you on October 8th. Go to joebobsjamboree.com to get all the information in Las Vegas. All right, FozzyRock.com for us as well. And Fozzy's also coming back to the UK. So much rock and roll happening. Spotlight in the UK kicks off February 16th in Newport, Wales. Tickets to the show and to the meet and greets are available now. Also at FozzyRock.com. All right, today on the show, we're digging into the flat earth conspiracy and how Elon Musk, SpaceX, the moon landing, and NASA all play a part in this belief that we do not live on a round globe-shaped planet, but in fact, live on a plane. And I'm not talking about one that flies through the air. I'm talking about a plane like the plains of Spain. We talk about aliens and UFOs and even what the sinking of the Titanic has to do with the flat earth theory. Flat earther David Weiss from the DITRH YouTube channel is back on the show to explain how the space race fits into this. So give it a listen and decide for yourself. It's definitely interesting, even if you don't believe in it. Flat Earth and the space race starts right now on Talk is Jericho. Okay, so returning here to Talk is Jericho is David Weiss. This is probably your third or fourth time you've been on the show.
I think third or fourth, somewhere in there.
So we're back to business here, talking about kind of all the updates that you have. You've reached out to me probably a couple months ago. Our schedules have been quite busy, but now we're kind of going to refresh what's been going on. So why don't you just kind of kick it off? You reached out to me to kind of give us a little bit of an update. So tell us what's been going on. Let's go through all the recent developments.
Yeah, there's so much. And you know, people, just for those of you hearing it for the first time, flat earth, oh my God, we all had the same reaction. We're all like, oh my God, flat earth is the dumbest thing ever. We refuse to look at it. You know, and then you Google flat earth and you get the Flat Earth Society, and the Flat Earth Society is completely illegitimate. It is a fake government run disinformation place to make you laugh at flat earth so you'll never look at it again. And Chris, you and I both know the only legitimate society is the Jericho Appreciation Society. So
nailed it.
Thank you.
So why are you saying the Flat Earth Society is not legit?
Yeah, if you go there, that's the one that Google will serve you. Strike number one. You know, you Google flat earth, you're going to end up there. You're going to see the disk floating in space.
Right.
We're not a disk floating in space. No flat earther believes that, but people that laugh at flat earth think that we believe that we're a disk floating in space. And that's not the case at all. And then, you know, they say stupid things like gravity is the earth rising up at 9.8 meters per second. Nobody believes that. So that's a place that'll make you believe something. We're a turn-up floating in space, where water's falling off the edge, and all the other planets around. We don't believe any of that. And this is not about believing. This is about knowing, because it's easy to believe anything. You believe that I live on the East Coast. You don't know it until you take the time and effort.
Right.
And it's easier to believe than to know.
So once again, kind of refreshing what we talked about before, because we've discussed flat earth, what it was a few years ago. It's not a flat disk floating in space. You've got a graphic behind you that says this is not flat earth. So what is your definition of what flat earth is?
So the way I look at it is, you know, large bodies of water at rest need containment. Like a glass of water has a container, a tub has a container, a pond has a container, a lake is a bigger pond. The world oceans need a container. What is that container? That container is the land that surrounds all of the oceans.
Right.
And that land is known as Antarctica. Okay. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It's the shoreline around our world. Now, for anyone that's briefly heard about flat Earth, you heard about the ice wall, you know, Game of Thrones, ice wall. That's not the ice wall. Antarctica is the highest continent on Earth. Its plateau is way above ocean level. So that's the wall that contains the water of our land. What's in the outer space beyond there? We don't know. Now, we could speculate, but we don't need to speculate to prove the earth is not a spinning ball. We're going to discuss things that we can measure and scientifically prove without speculation. You want to speculate what's out here? One of my favorite things to do. We could speculate about extraterrestrials on Extraterra, but I don't have any proof of that. A lot of evidence, but no proof. I can prove that the earth is not spinning because there's no measurement of axial rotation. I can prove that there's no curvature, especially for the size that they tell us, because we can see much, much farther than they tell us. I can prove that you can't have high pressure next to low pressure without a physical container. What do I mean by that? You go on YouTube and search vacuum chamber, soda can and vacuum chamber, suck the air out, the can explodes. Gas needs to equalize unless it's in a container. So where's the container on the globe Earth? There is no container. We're on a ball. The official story is we're on a ball surrounded by water, surrounded by air, adjacent to a vacuum, the void of space, right? The low pressure, right? That is scientifically impossible, right? They tell us that we're spinning. Chris, you enjoy a sunset, right? Over the ocean.
Yeah.
So you're watching the sunset. And if you watch that sunset with a clear mind and using your God-given common senses, you'll see that the sun is just going away and it's going beyond what we call the horizon. We can get into that. But if you live on the heliocentric world, the globe model, you have to believe that you're on a ball falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. And that's making the sun appear to go down. The sun appears to go down. The stars appear to rise. The moon and the sun appear to rise and cross the sky and set, but they're not. We're spinning and they're staying still. That's ridiculous. Not only are we spinning, we're orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. Can you even fathom what that is?
No, no, you can't.
And here's the thing. They never taught us to teach in big numbers. If you go on YouTube and you search the hypersonic sled track, it's a short video, 30 seconds, I think. And it shows you a rocket sled track where they were testing how fast they can make it go. And they made it go 8.6 times the speed of sound, Mach 8.6. Mach 8.6. And when you watch this thing, you can't even see it go by. You can barely fathom what's happening here. But if you live on the heliocentric model, you have to believe that you're going 10 times faster than that around the sun in an elliptical, right? Not a straight line, right? If you're going in a straight line, you could argue that you wouldn't feel the motion. But when you turn, the energy goes inside. If you have a cup of coffee in a car going 100 miles an hour, that car speeds up, slows down, or takes the slightest turn, the coffee's going out of the cup.
Right.
And we're chasing the sun at 100 times faster than that. You can't even fathom. Your brain short circuits. But when we go out in nature, we see like perfectly calm lakes on a calm morning. The water is contained. It's not moving. Common sense tells you that we're not moving, but absolute and total nonsense by failed comedians and, actors tell you that we're spinning, whirling, and twirling like corkscrewing through space, never to return to where we were before.
So just to go back on some of those things you said, so what is the proof that we live on a flat Earth? For example, when you mentioned, kind of the same thing that happened with the submarine searching for the Titanic, when the air leaves, it gets ingested and explodes. And you're saying that the Earth doesn't do that. Why not? If it's not going to do it in a flat Earth situation, why?
Well, so because we're whatever this realm is, we're contained. And there is some sort of containment up there. I believe the highest anyone has ever gotten is maybe 76 miles, somewhere around there. But again, we're relying on third-party information. There was a rocket called the Go Fast rocket. Have you heard of the Go Fast rocket?
I don't think I have, no.
And the Go Fast rocket was, so when you watch NASA or Elon Musk or anybody, their rockets go up, they curve over, and they go out into the Bermuda Triangle. And if you ask me, that's where they're crashing. There's a place called Point Nemo. Look that up. And there's all sorts of discarded satellites and rockets, supposedly. I just think that they're crashed rockets out in the ocean. They basically just show us green screens. But Red Bull did sponsored a amateur rocket. It went straight up 72 miles, and then all of a sudden it went kerplunk, and it hit something. It stopped spinning. It was floating very, very strange, and it was actually very interesting because we could see the moon. And the moon at that time was over Australia, and this took off over New Mexico. No, Arizona, New Mexico, whatever. That would be impossible on the heliocentric model because it's on the other side of the globe. the only way that could happen is on a flat Earth.
And then how about the same thing? So you're saying we're contained. Like, so are you saying that we, in your opinion, we never went to the moon, for example?
Oh, absolutely. The whole moon landing, we can do a whole show on that. There's so many things with that. And a lot of people have heard them. And then, if you Google moon landing hoax, you're just going to get fed propaganda after propaganda after propaganda. But if you look at the moon landing, it is absolutely ridiculous. For example, when you look at the LEM, it's made of cardboard and paper mache and tinfoil and curtain rods, and no structural engineer could look at this and say that it could do anything. Mm-hmm. And if you look right down on the very bottom, and if you go get a picture of the LEM and look at the very bottom, that's where the nozzle of the rocket is. Okay,
right.
When it actually took off, it leaves that on the bottom. So if you look, the nozzle's on the very bottom, and all of a sudden there's an explosion, and it just takes off. And it goes up. So you have to believe that there's two guys in there, not even in chairs, and this thing's going to go up and it's going to intersect with an orbiting orbiter.
Right.
Absolute ridiculous, And when you look at the LEM, I mean, there's no way that this thing, if you look at it close up, you got this paneling here. Like if they sheetrocked your basement like that, you would ask for a refund. The people that defend the moon landing just never looked at it. Have never actually, believed that Nixon made a phone call to the guys on the moon when we can barely, in 1970, right?
Right.
Absolute and total nonsense.
Bosch tools are built for workers. Bosch's powerful hammer drill has kickback control to help work go more smoothly when you need it. The 2-in-1 impact driver and wrench quickly changes between bits and sockets, so you only need one tool instead of two. And the X-Lock grinder switches wheels up to 5 times faster than standard grinders when you need to change tasks in a hurry. Bosch tools take care of the job and you. Bosch tools, what hard workers deserve. Learn more at BoschTools.com. So, Dave, over the last few years since we first started speaking, has the support for the flat Earth concept grown? The debate is still going on, but has it gotten a little bit more on your side of the coin, or is it still a lot of people fighting it, or what's been going on that end of things?
So you have people that are completely ignorant, and that's not an insult. That's just people that are ignorant, that have been brainwashed since birth to believe in the globe, and they don't look. And they argue what they've been told. Oh, what about ships over the horizon? What about seasons? What about time zones? What about, I could drink a glass of water on an airplane, and, all of these things that are pre-programmed responses. It's only the people that really look into it. So then you have I call them paid or possessed trolls. They're either paid or possessed. There's really no difference. And they're fighting for their enslavement because the heliocentric system is a prison for your mind. It is the enslaver of humanity. And then there's the people that are waking up. And I could actually prove that the flat Earth movement, if you want to call it a movement, I could call it the awakening, is growing. What I'm showing here, this is called the Friend Finder on my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. These are just the people near me that have the Friend Finder, not even all the people that have the app. And I think it's 1% of the people that are flat earthers. It's absolutely insane. If you look at the UK,
yeah.
So there's plenty of flat earthers over there. Look for some flat earth signs in the audience. I'm sure they're going to be there.
Just going through some of the topics that you sent me. So how is it possible there's still a debate when you have all the proof and all the answers here?
Because people are lazy and they don't want to look at actual evidence. So let's look at a couple of proofs that will absolutely prove it. So on a ball, Chris, there's a set amount of curvature. And when you go beyond that curve, there's a physical curve. And like I'm holding a ball in front of my face right now, and you can't see my mouth because of a physical curve. Zooming in isn't going to help because there's a physical curve.
Right.
The problem is our horizon, which I call the horizontal eye zone, is not a physical place. And we can see things beyond the necessary limit that the ball would allow. Now, they tell us the ball is 24,901 miles around, right? Most globers don't know that. Flat earthers know it. We know the globe model way better than globe people, because if you knew the globe model, you would be a flat earther. People just think they know it, okay?
Right.
They don't realize we're told that the earth is so big that you can't perceive the curve. But then they want to tell us that we could see boats going over the horizon. Using their math, a 6-foot tall person standing at the edge of perfectly calm water shouldn't be able to see the surface of the water beyond 3 miles, because at 3 miles, there's a 6-foot drop. So they can't see over that curve. So that's their horizontal eye zone, their horizon. So they can't see beyond 3 miles. But if you're watching a sunset or boats out in the water, you can see them way, way farther out. And they do appear to disappear from the bottom up, but you can zoom back in and you can see them again. The problem is when you're looking at stuff over water, down low, the air is thick and it becomes miragey and it becomes opaque over distance. You don't even realize that. But from the top of a mountain, the air is much clearer and you can see farther. Using the Globe Earth calculator, I'm showing a picture here, which is a world record shot, and we could see 8 different mountaintops that are over 700 miles away. Now, maybe that's not enough to see the curve. 700 miles photographed from this elevation. The tops of these mountains should be over 40 miles below a physical curve.
Okay, right.
But we can see them all. Now, if we could see one, the Glober could say, well, that's a cloud that looks like the top. No, we can see all of them in the right positions, in the right shapes. We can see them. Well, the curve calculator is wrong.
We're looking at basically like 8 mountains here on a horizon that you can see. What you're saying is that there was a curve, they would be slowly going down like a flight of stairs, and you wouldn't see them after a while.
Right. Hold like a basketball in front of your face and try to look at something, a couple inches over the horizon of that basketball.
Right.
And I'm not talking a couple inches. I'm talking 40 miles. So you can argue, sometimes Globers argue, hey, it's not 40 miles of drop. You have to share it because you're down halfway on one side and it's down halfway the other side. And that's a really dumb argument, but I'll give it to them because we don't need it. That would be 20 miles of curvature. We can still see the mountains. We can still see them. We win again. And Chris, recently we've exposed some pilots have given us some time-lapse photography. I'm going to try to explain this one through and ask questions if you're not getting it. So you're standing on a runway and you're looking forward. It's nighttime and you can see some stars near the horizon. So those stars are in front of you. They're down on the horizon. Now, if you flew halfway down over the ball, so now the nose of the plane is pointing straight down. Okay, because you're flying over a ball, those same stars should be straight up above you. You following me?
Yeah.
So that's absolutely true. So this is a flight. There's a whole bunch of them this is from Berlin to Brazil, I believe, somewhere in South America. And while they're flying, none of these stars are rotating up. They should be processing up. Now, this is a Google Earth simulation. We say, hey, I'm going to fly me from Berlin to Brazil, and it shows all of the stars processing. They should go up 40 degrees minimum. They should go up more than 40 degrees, but they don't. In reality, shows us a flat plane. Airplanes fly over a flat stationary plane. All CIA, FAA documents, NASA documents say all of their testing of all of their flying devices use a flat, non-rotating Earth. Why would they use that? Google Earth simulation says this. This is what you would rationally understand would be the truth if we lived on a ball. Reality shows you a level plane with stars that do not process upwards. This here alone absolutely 100% proves that we don't live on a globe.
So once again, I know we've discussed this before. Why isn't this coming out as being more of a truth? Is it some kind of a psyop or something, or what do you think?
Yeah, so if it was a psyop, I've been at this since 2014. Flat Earth has been around forever. Some scientist, some physicist, somebody would have come out with some proof. We have tons of us offering rewards. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. 3 Bitcoins, 1 globe proof. Simple. No one has been able to come up with it other than the calculations and I can make this plan. Math is not reality. Math can describe anything you want. I could show you how math can show a ball. And, if you look at the Aristophanes with his sticks and shadows, it works perfectly on a flat plane. But, school will teach you only one side of the argument. Why aren't they teaching you both? And so the answer to the question is, smart people will say, ask the basic questions. They'll all get knocked down. If they're listening, they'll be like, well, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. I don't care what shape the earth is. I just want to feed my family. And that's exactly where they want you. They want you struggling, living paycheck to paycheck in a limited world where they control you, where they give you your rights. That's not true. We have God-given rights, and nobody can take them away unless we agree to let them take us. So why the lie? And the truth is, they don't want you to know your true position. They don't want you to know your true power. They don't want you to know that there's more. There's probably more land. We can talk about that in a minute. There's probably other civilizations. There's probably many, many other continents out there. There's resources. We're not running out of water. We're not running out of food. We're not running out of space. I mean, Chris, you travel over the world. What do you see below you most of the time? Nothing, right? Empty space. It's empty space.
Right.
You know, you can give every family an acre in Australia, and I think half of Australia would be empty. I mean, the world, you know, they're packing us into cities, and they're saying that we're destroying the environment. All of that is not true. Yes, we should pollute and everything, but I believe that there's free energy. I know that there's free energy. I know that there's things called over unity devices, and they're hiding that from us, because if we had free energy, imagine, you know, an average person didn't have to pay for heat, air conditioning, or fuel for their car. Would that free them up a little bit? They could probably just farm off their land and be pretty sufficient. Trade with your neighbors. They don't want you in that situation. They want you in a situation where you have to pay, you know, with money, you know, their fake money. And so it's all about control. And they're getting to the point, you know, where they may not need us in the future now with robots and everything else. So if you look at our true history, it's astounding. It's astounding.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. You saw the potential, and through some elbow grease, fresh installs, and a whole lot of love, you transformed 100,000 miles and a body full of rust into a drive entirely its own. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, exhaust kits, turbochargers, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So why is there such a, I guess you'd call it, a censorship against kind of the flat earth movement? Why is it so frowned upon, and everybody who believes it is kind of a crackpot sort of thing?
Well, that's what they want you to believe, because this is literally their most important deception. People are like, Dave, there's so many things. There's child trafficking and poverty and homelessness and all of this stuff, which all of it is because people don't realize where we are. People don't realize the true potential of where we are. And they're keeping us, you know, in that scared place where we give up our rights and we let them control us. So then people are like, what about NASA and all the other space programs? They can't all be lying. Well, yes, they are. They're all in it together. The divisions of countries are not true. And there is some division here, but all of the big countries, all the ones with space programs, they're all in it together. But if you actually compare the space programs, Chris,
yeah,
the Japanese and the Chinese and the India landed on the moon. Oh my God. You look at it and you're like, South Park would reject this stuff. It's horrible. It's just, and you compare them, there's no comparison whatsoever. It's absolute insanity. So do you remember years ago, the first untethered spacewalk out from the International Space Station? A guy flew out in his jetpack. It was absolutely amazing. And this guy's flying out there crazy. You have to remember that we're corkscrewing through space in 4 different directions at once. And this guy is free flowing out here. Recently, they gave out another photo of the spacewalk, and it's the same, it's different Earth, but the same guy. It's just absolutely ridiculous. People, you know, we have these space fantasies. You're a fan of Star Trek and Star Wars when growing up, right?
Of course.
You love all that, right?
Of course.
It's all space fantasy. It's to take your mind away from this amazing reality that we live in and dilute it in outer space.
So what about like pictures of Earth and that sort of thing? You know, you think with the satellites that we've had on the outside, wouldn't they have taken some sort of a picture of this flat Earth container? Or is that impossible because you can't get further than 76 miles?
When people say, where's your picture of the flat Earth? I say, imagine if you had a room that was 20 miles wide. Could you take a picture of the whole room? No, you couldn't even see a half a mile down because the ceiling and the floor would merge together. And so you can't get high enough to take a picture of the whole Earth. Now, we can go up to 120,000 feet on a balloon, and you can see that the horizon rises to eye level. The Earth isn't moving. It isn't spinning out from underneath that balloon. and, that it's stationary, but can you get a picture of the whole Earth? I don't think so. In 1927, Universal Pictures had a rotating globe on their pictures, on their movies. And that's before anyone ever got, allegedly, something into space. And then in 1972, they released a picture of the Earth that looks exactly, just colorized, like the Universal Pictures. So how did that happen, right? And then people say, well, there's current pictures of the Earth,
Right.
In 2012, we had this great picture, and it shows the United States covering how much of the Earth?
Right.
And if you compare that, if you Google map of the world, you'll see this one Mercator map, and they actually took the exact colors and everything and just put it on a ball. So you have to believe that the rest of all of this land is on the other side of this ball. It's showing you like 1/25th of the land of the whole world, covering half of the globe. But where's the rest? Pretty crazy.
It is totally.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the stars and how you can see the same stars in the winter and in the summer, and you can't see the North Star from here and you can't see it from there. I mean, that's always kind of something interesting.
So in the heliocentric model, we're going around the sun. Think about this. When, let's say in January at noon and you're on the equator, you're looking directly at the sun. You're on the side of the Earth and you're looking directly at the sun. And the back side of the Earth that's away from the sun, that's looking at the universe, and it's nighttime because the sun is on the other side of the Earth. 6 months later, you're on the other side of the sun. And so your daytime looking at the sun is looking at the rest of the universe, but you can't see it because the sun is blinding you. And then people at midnight on the other side are looking at the complete other side of the universe. There should not be a single star that's the same, but we see the same stars. It's impossible. And here's the other thing. We're corkscrewing through space. Going 4 different directions at once, going incomprehensible speeds. And if you go out tonight and take a photo of the stars at 10 p.m., midnight, whatever, and then put a note in your calendar to do the same picture, same time, a year later, every single star will be in the exact same position. But we're corkscrewing through space, traveling 4.5 billion miles, never to return to where we were before. All the other stars are moving in all their own beehive directions, but somehow we can see the same stars. Here's the thing. You want to believe that stars are these gigantic suns. Have you ever looked at, hey, our star is big compared to our planets, but then Betelgeuse is, makes our star look like a grain of sand. And then this other one makes Betelgeuse look like a pebble. And, these giant burning balls of gas in a vacuum. We kind of started to cover that. Gas in a vacuum doesn't really work. At what point does gas collapse upon itself rather than fill the available space? Nobody could ever show that it does that. And the sizes and distances, if you take the time to actually do the calculations, you would realize that these stars would be impossible to see. Without doing the math on here, because I want people to short circuit, I have tons of videos. If you go to flatearthdave.com and check my app out, there's frequently asked questions. Go to the stars section and you'll be able to see all of this. And maybe you can prove the globe and win the 3 Bitcoins. Let me know. Our North Star, you can see it with your naked eye. It's pretty bright. It's not the brightest star in the sky. It's just the North Star. It's the one that all the other stars circle around.
Right.
And they say it's 48 times bigger than our sun. So if you made it only 48 times farther than our sun, it would look just like our sun. Well, 48 times farther than our sun is 4 light hours away. Let's make it a light day away. You wouldn't be able to see it. It's too small. Let's make it a light month away. It's way too small. Let's make it a light year away. You can't even fathom what that is. They tell us it's 433 light years away, and we could see it with our naked eye. It doesn't make any scientific sense. Light, as it travels, spreads out and gets weaker and weaker. It doesn't stay focused laser and travel for billions of years and show up in your eye. Oh, that star might not even be there. It could have burned out a billion years ago, but we're seeing the light from it now. That's nonsense. Light spreads out. Like when I yell, if you were a mile away, you wouldn't hear me because my voice spreads out and it gets too thin to hear. Light does the same thing. It gets too thin to see.
When you're an American Express Platinum card member, the trip starts in the Centurion Lounge. And as you enjoy the chef's local dish, you think, what'll be on the menu for your layover? See how to elevate your travel at americanexpress.com/with-Amex. Don't live life without it. Terms apply.
Well, let's talk about, you mentioned him earlier. Let's talk about Elon Musk and space travel and rockets to space. How does that kind of tie in with everything here?
Well, that's the big thing is when Captain Cook went out to Antarctica, or Admiral Byrd, he said he discovered more land bigger than the United States, filled with resources, and nobody's there. No trees, nothing. Nobody's there. And then all of the countries in the world that fight for resources agree nobody can go there. And we're going to the moon. United States says next year we're going to the moon. Right? Look over here at the light in the sky that's right there when it's in the day sky. And we're going up there, and everyone forgets about Antarctica, because if we went to Antarctica, you would know that we don't live on a ball, but that's why it's highly restricted. Wait a minute. Thousands of people can go there. No, you can pay $10, $20, $50,000 to go for a couple of days. They take you to Rothschild Island or Deception Island. Which one do you want to go to? Right? Which are little islands off that little peninsula, which is bigger than some countries. And they tell you, oh, you can't go there because it'll disturb the penguins, or you'll pollute the ice. They don't want you going to the outer space. So let's go back to your question that was about Elon Musk. He recently just changed his Twitter logo to X. And if you mirror it, it's the Freemason symbol. Let's just call that a coincidence. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. Maybe it's kind of fun. Maybe he did it. And then if you actually watch their launches, they absolutely make no sense whatsoever. Now, for the people listening, I'll describe it. It looks like a grain silo, and a little light comes out of the bottom, and it goes up slower than a balloon. And we have cameras looking back and forth. Now, what I'm showing you here is non-edited. Now, we got this little flame lifting up tens of tons. It's barely moving. Edit, like a movie. Edit. Now, if you look at it, now the engines are burning out. This thing can't be 100 feet in the ground, except when it goes to it's not that high. We're getting a side view from the ground. There's a little smoke coming out, but the camera view from it shows it way up high. Now it's going to fall back to Earth. Now, this thing's not very high. If you look at the smoke and analyze it, you'll see that it's not moving very fast. And watch the next edit. The smoke will be going half that speed. This thing is tens of tons falling back to Earth. Right? But watch when it goes. Now it's like, look at it, it's up in orbit all of a sudden. This is an unedited video. Now this thing is three engines are going to turn on. It's magically going to balance itself upright. Oh, it's up high again when it switches back to the camera view from it. And then three engines are going to go on. Cameraman's going to be like a superhero. He's going to go right underneath it with an edit. Okay, here's the edit. Now he's underneath. Two of the three engines are going to burn out. So now it's got one engine off kilter. Think about a Harrier jump jet trying to balance. This thing is balancing upright, and it's going to land upright with a whole bunch of CGI smoke. Ready? CGI smoke. Bam. And it lands upright. Now, anybody that can't see, and it kind of looks a little phallic, if you will.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If we can get into all of the phallic symbols they have, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
So watching this, I mean, you did put a fun spin on it, but why would Elon Musk want to pull the hoax that he's sending rockets off into the sky?
Maybe Elon Musk is just a puppet, for the controllers of this world. Maybe he has no idea what's going on. He just does what he's told. I don't know. I saw a picture of him with a crew cut, and I think there was a big scar, like he had brain surgery. I'm not saying that's the case. I personally, if you ask me, I don't know. I think he's just a puppet for the controllers of this world. People want to think he's the hero. He's going to save us and Twitter and this and that. You can watch his launches. You can tell that they're fake. And then once you see that, once you realize that they're fake, you have to really ask yourself what's going on and who is he? On my channel, DITRH, all my stuff can be found at flatearthdave.com. Go to my YouTube channel, DITRH. I have a lot of short videos. I recently put one out there called SpaceX versus the Soyuz, and showing you how they fake it, and, with their cheering crowds and everything. It's quite funny, but there's a bunch of videos. And for those of you that think this is stupid, DITRH is my YouTube channel. It stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. All my videos are under 5 minutes. So just start with little ones, right? And I guarantee you'll be watching the full length ones in no time once you realize the deception. The problem is People like to build a safe world around themselves and have a belief system. And to break that belief system is really difficult and emotionally, it's emotional. It's, to realize that your whole life has been a lie. But once you get through it, it's amazing to find out where you really live and to unplug yourself from this matrix.
And once again, you mentioned, maybe Elon's being controlled by whoever's controlling the world. Who do you think that possibly could be? I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but you're kind of insinuating that somebody's kind of an overarching overlord here.
Well, if you look at all of the American presidents, I think except one, they all come from a bloodline that goes back to one king. And you look at the royal families, of this world, they're the ones that we see that are in control. I believe that they have puppet masters too, that maybe they live beyond the shoreline of Antarctica. Maybe they live out, on other lands that we don't know about. Japan just this year announced that they found 7,000 new islands.
What?
Look it up. Google it. Japan finds 7,000 new islands. Okay. So when you realize that we don't even know what's here because our maps, our GPS hides things. When you have to wrap a flat pond around a sphere, there's big swaths that would be, when you try to wrap a piece of paper around a ball, there's big crumpled parts. Those crumpled parts are not on GPS. And so to find them, you have to kind of not follow GPS, but everybody follows GPS. GPS and, and a compass. A compass will, they tell you in the southern oceans that you have to adjust your compass, right? Because of magnetic declination. I don't believe there's magnetic declination like that. I believe that there's different magnetic fields, but if you literally just kept going in a straight line in any direction, you end up at Antarctica. No matter what direction you start out in, you end up at Antarctica. Because to think about, you're on a big pond, go straight, you're going to hit the edge of the pond somewhere. When you get to the edge of the pond, you're not going to fall off like they want you to believe happens with a flat Earth. You're going to step up onto the higher land, Antarctica, and you're going to start walking. What if after, a ways you come to another pond and there's other lands out there? Interesting, right? We don't know. We want the right to go and explore beyond the shoreline of Antarctica.
So you're saying the shoreline of Antarctica is kind of the edge of this flat Earth world sort of thing. And beyond that is what is beyond that? This
is what one of my other flat Earth researchers called a speculation station. And I'm happy to go there. Okay. So we can talk about that because there's lots of books on my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. There's a book section, and some of the books are about lands, that people wrote about in the 1800s that were beyond Antarctica. There was one called the Iron Republic. A politician that was fed up with the nonsense here, bought a ship and went to Antarctica and found an opening, then came through the opening. They're back out in the ocean. They were lost for a couple of months. Then they saw land. They saw a city. But when they got there, it was a very advanced city, flat screens, floating cars and all sorts of stuff. He lived there for 10 years and then he came back and told the story. It's pretty interesting. Whether it's true or not, it rings true to me. It doesn't matter. They're talking about more land beyond Antarctica. And every single culture before NASA, I'm going to call NASA a culture because they're literally, trying to control your mind, talks about a flat, non-rotating Earth. So I'm showing here a Mercator map, and I'm going to draw a circle around just North America and Canada and a piece of South America. And if we wipe out the rest of the map and we wrap it around a sphere, if you didn't have a way to travel to those other places, and I told you, that's it, you can go anywhere you want here, but if you go to this white area, which is anywhere outside that circle, you're not allowed to go there, and the military will stop you from going beyond here, right? So you would never know about Africa. You would never know about South America. You would never know about Australia because this is where you live. Mm-hmm. That's how they do it. They've taken our known world and wrapped it around a sphere. Now, I'm going to take a big jump into speculation station here. I love the idea, and again, I'm not claiming this is the truth, that there's other ponds like I was describing before. So what if we lived in a world where there was all of these ponds across the plane, and we lived in the center of this pond right here? And that white ring is Antarctica, and out here are more lands. This is extra territory. So if somebody lived out here in the extra territory and they came to visit us in here in this inner space, what might we call them, Chris?
Inner circle?
An extraterrestrial
gotcha.
From the outer space. So They're kind of always telling us the truth. But then again, they did the same thing. They cut out Antarctica. They wrapped it around a sphere, and they said nobody is allowed to go to this little white dot on the bottom of the sphere. You're not allowed to go there. Therefore, this is all we know about. And what is that? That is a prison for your mind. I call the heliocentric system the matrix for your mind. Because if you can't think broadly, your thoughts are limited. Your thoughts create your reality, and they don't want you to know that. They want you stuck here living in fear, living in lack, living paycheck to paycheck, abiding by their rules. Soon they're going to try to lock us down into 15-minute cities. And people that think that that's a conspiracy theory, they're already doing it. They're already testing it in the UK. I believe in Ohio, they're testing it. They're testing 15-minute cities. Have you heard about that?
I have not.
15-minute cities is you're only allowed to travel 15 minutes from where you live. And if you go farther and they switch us to the central bank digital currency, which is all digital money, your money will not work outside of that 15-minute circle. Chris, this is insanity, but this is the written plan. Look up Agenda 2030. They want us all living in cities. They want us all, 15-minute cities. They don't want us owning cars, right? They're building buildings now. Before you're like, oh, you want to build a building that has this much retail and 50 apartments and everything? Oh, you have to have 180 parking spaces. Now they're like, you need 20 parking spots. Why? Because they want people not to be able to have cars. They want people all packed in. Nobody has a car. They'll just be, electric cars, Ubers, and whatever. But that won't. Oh, you get in a car like, hey, take me over to so and so's house. Oh, sorry, that's out of your limit. We can't take you any farther than here. Again, it's all about control. And once people realize that we don't live on a spinning ball, flying through an infinite universe, where an asteroid could take us out, we're running out of food, running out of land, running out of everything, then people unplug from the matrix. We have the ability to take this world back. And until people know where they are, you can't fight a fight if you don't understand what the fight is. It's kind of a spiritual war because they're literally coming after our souls. And if you don't know that, they know it. That's why they're trying to win. But if everybody just holds their position and understands where they live, Chris, I think we can turn this whole thing around overnight.
Janice used to be a huge loser at work, but then she discovered The Athletic. Their fantasy football coverage has unrivaled analysis. So Janice isn't at the bottom of the office league anymore. In fact, she doesn't even work at that office anymore. Thanks to her couponer blog, she doesn't need to work anywhere for a while. How about that? Losing is for losers. This season, lose less at fantasy with The Athletic.
Let me ask you a question, though, about the congressional UFO hearings and all that sort of a thing. Does that kind of tie in with what you're talking about as well?
Absolutely. Again, allegedly, Werner von Braun, the Nazi scientist that was brought over in the alleged Project Paperclip, and he was the one that founded NASA, right? We got a Russian scientist, a rocket scientist, from the fake space race running NASA. It's all fake. It's all a show. On his deathbed, he told his secretary, allegedly, that, first they're going to have, wars with terrorists and wars from rogue nations. And he said the final card will be the fake alien invasion. Because Ronald Reagan queued us up with his famous speech where he said, wouldn't we all forget our petty differences if we were had to face a force from outside of this world?
Right.
And so we've all been programmed. Everyone's like, of course there's aliens out there. But if there was some sort of fake alien invasion, we could say all the world would unite. And guess what? All the countries would unite because guess what? They already are united. The people don't realize that. All of the rulers are working together. Now they got their one world government, their one world currency, their one world religion, and everybody on the central bank digital currencies. Now we're slaves. We can't let this happen. Aliens are not what they say. There may be extraterrestrials. I believe they're here walking among us. Chris, for all I know, you may be from the outer lands. You may not even know it. Okay. So you'd be technically an extraterrestrial. Right. I think it's a big melting pot in here and, we're coming from all over the place. So that's what they want. They want people living in fear. And who knows if they'll be able to pull it off. I think too many people know about it already for them to actually pull it off successfully.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is interesting that they just like, why now, after all these years, starting to discuss it and talk about it. It always seems to me that it's going to lead to something else. You know, it's a cover up for something, or it's an introduction. It's kind of a soft release into letting people know what's going to be going on with these extraterrestrials over the next 5-10 years, et cetera, et cetera.
Think about this. If extraterrestrials came from other planets, which went around other stars, and let's say by chance there's an advanced race that is on a planet that's orbiting the closest star to us other than the sun. You know, our sun is supposedly a star. So it's on the closest planet, the closest star, closest planet. And they're the ones that are going to come invade. The closest star is 4.5 light years. That translates to 25 trillion miles. 25 trillion miles. Well, how far is that? Let's think about it. Do you know how long 1 trillion seconds is, Chris?
I don't.
Want to take a guess? I'll give you a Bitcoin if you guess it within a month.
100 years.
Very close. 31,000 years. Okay.
Okay.
31,000. No one gets it right, by the way. 31,000 years. So 1 trillion seconds. Let that sink in. 31,000 years. So you and I get in a rocket ship. We're traveling a mile per second, which no one's ever gone that fast. And we travel for 31,000 years. We are 1/24th of the way to the closest star. We got to do that 24 more times.
Wow.
But let's say, you know what? You say, hey, Dave, you know, your rocket ship stinks. I've got a great rocket ship. It goes 100,000 miles an hour. Unfathomable. All right, we get in. It's only going to take us 28,000 years to get to the closest star. And all of the other ones are magnitudes and magnitudes farther than that close neighbor that we have. Are you kidding me? And then we can scientifically prove that you can't see these stars, that all the stars are fixed in the firmament. They do not change their positions other than the wandering stars, which we now call planets. So for someone to come for that far to crash in Roswell versus just coming from 10, 20,000 miles away, you know, from another pond across the plane in a conventional aircraft or an electrostatic aircraft, you know, a flying disc, which we have that technology. If there are extraterrestrials, I kind of think there are, they're coming from the outer lands across the plane, the extraterra. One of them is insane and scientifically impossible in a scientifically impossible space vacuum. You can't have high pressure next to pressure, and low pressure next to no pressure, right? What does a rocket push off of? You know, a propeller in the water pushes off the water. A jet pushes off the air. What does a rocket push off of in space? Nothing. There's nothing. There's no propulsion. But they want you to believe, oh, I don't even know their story. It's ridiculous. Anything that's here is here. Other life is here. There may be stuff underneath us. Maybe.
All right, to start to wind down here, you made a note of mentioning Ocean Gate and whether that actually had happened or not. What's your theories on that? You're talking about the submarine that was underwater looking for the Titanic and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it's funny that it's called Ocean Gate, you know, just like Watergate. And, you know, whenever you see, you know, a politician or somebody getting dragged through the coals like Nixon did, you kind of wonder what was really going on. And I don't know if you listen to Crow 777 Radio. Anyone that's listening, great show. He just had a guy on that was talking about where Nixon was trying to end the CIA, and so they Watergated him. So we got Ocean Gate, and during Ocean Gate, well, we had Hunter's laptop, which dropped out of the news, and Epstein and J.P. Morgan's emails got released, and 1.5 million of them accidentally got deleted. But that doesn't matter. And there was like a couple other big things that are happening in the news. It's just a distraction. Let me ask you a question, Chris. You're a billionaire. And you're fascinated with the Titanic. I'm going to put you in a metal box underwater, very dangerous. Or you could stay on your luxury yacht and we could just watch it on a big screen TV there while you have cocktails. Which one is it going to be?
Well, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to go down there. And then, you know, and then the controversy, oh, they knew it before the search and rescue happened. They knew that they were all dead. It's just gravy for people to argue and fight over. Now, if you know the story about the Titanic and, you know, how it was sunk on purpose and it was so they can put the Federal Reserve into play, and they had all the bankers that were against it were on that. That's an interesting story also. And maybe that some of the previous explorations that were down there were finding that I believe they sank it by explosions from inside the ship. So they're seeing that it exploded from inside and not an iceberg. And they basically want to ban all exploration down there because they don't want anybody really exposing, what happened. Because if you expose what happened to Titanic, it'll unwind all the way to the Federal Reserve. Okay. And the people in the Federal Reserve are the real controllers of this world.
Lots to unbox here. And I guess the last question I want to ask you, Dave, is actually something that you have on your notes, which makes sense to me. Why does the shape of the Earth even matter?
Yeah, Chris, flat is not a shape. There's hills and valleys and mountains and all sorts of stuff. It's clearly, testably, and provably a level horizontal plane. All horizontals are parallel. On a ball, no horizontals are parallel. You put a horizontal line and then hold it out to the horizon, it's parallel with the horizon, right? But on a ball, none of that works. None of it works. So why does it matter? Was that the question? Why does it matter?
Yeah. Why does it matter either way?
Yeah. Again, we kind of touched on it. It's because if you don't know where you are, if you don't know who you are, you don't know your true power, you're not going to win. You're going to be led around like a sheep with a nose ring. You're not going to reach your true potential, because if people reach their true potential, then the controllers of this world, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds and above, and all the royal families, we wouldn't be so cooperative. We wouldn't allow it. So again, it is really important. There's so many big people that know about flat Earth. Some of them are coming out. Are you familiar with Stu Peters? You're a guy that looks into truth, right? Stu Peters?
I don't know Stu Peters, though. No, but tell me.
Stu Peters, he's got a big truth network. Huge. He's huge. Like Alex Jones. They know, both of them, Alex and Stu, both know that the Earth is flat. And Peggy Hall, for those of you in the health freedom industry, she knows the Earth is flat. And there's famous actors, that are on television shows that you like. Some of them, maybe one of them that was in a series about a bar and then had a spin-off of his own series. He knows the Earth is flat without mentioning any names. There's tons and tons of people coming up, and we're literally at the tipping point. Just like one big person that could come out and, make a comment that doesn't care, because, Kyrie Irving came out and he had to walk it back, and Shaq came out and he had to walk it back. It's literally one tweet away from going mainstream. But with or without that one big tweet, Tucker Carlson the other day said, he made a comment about flat Earth, and he goes, hey, don't get me wrong. He goes, show me proof of flat Earth and I'll amplify it. Tucker, we've got proof of flat Earth. Come talk to us. We have absolute proof. We can see too far. Period. We can see too far.
Well, man, like I said, Dave, it's always an interesting conversation with you, and lots of stuff to rationalize and unpack, like I said, but also too, all of the information is at your fingertips if you want to check it out. People listening right now, if you want to delve more into it, there's a lot of different places you can go to check out some of the information that's out there about all these different topics.
The best place is flatearthdave.com. It takes you to my website. I have an app. It's $3. Don't freak out. You don't need the app, but everybody loves the app. And the app is connecting people. I showed you the friend finder before. You can actually meet up with people. People have literally gotten married because of this app. People have found people to work with and all sorts of stuff. But all the questions and answers, everything is answered in there. I have the frequently asked questions page, flatearthdave.com. Check out my socials there. And then on there, scroll down to where it says Flat Earth Crash Course. And there's a list of documentaries in there. Some of them are 45 minutes, hour and a half. Turn off Netflix for a week and watch one of those each night. I guarantee you can't watch 3 of them before rejecting the globe 100%. Guaranteed. It's scientifically impossible to watch 3 of those and remain a globe believer.
All right, man. That's your challenge, everybody. All right, Dave. Thanks, dude. We'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
All right. Thanks, Chris. See ya.